Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West. Here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. As usual, give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it in. So let's waste no time. Ooh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. The Attorney General's job is up for grabs, with David Yost having an eye on the governor's seat for Ohio. David Scolding has a report published January 28th informing the public on how Ohio Auditor Keith Faber has announced that he is running for the Attorney General's seat. Now, Faber states in the report that he is running because he believes that his experience matters and he wants to capitalize on his service as a lawyer, legislator, and state auditor to create an office that protects and defends Ohio's people and institutions. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Local malls are fighting to stay relevant. The local malls continue to stay in top headlines. This is after an arcade opened for business in the Eastwood Mall. Now, Dave & Buster's has held a grand opening at the Eastwood Mall, if you did not know. Now, the stories resonate in the minds of other malls owners because this is in a time where retailers are really struggling and rent is high and expenses are high. Now, the story was published January 28th by Chris McBride, showing people enjoying the local atmosphere at this arcade. Now, this is all while Southern Park Mall is in a transition, in transition mode, if you want to be exact, and has made some great upgrades in an attempt to drive more people into the mall atmosphere, folks. This story is still developing, but shows what malls are doing to keep people coming. That's why story number 2 made it. Story number 3. Milton Township is in top headlines. Vindicator correspondent John D. Bagnola has an on-the-record report that's published January 27th, and it explains how Milton Township witnessed $6.7 million in new construction. Now, this story made it in because it exemplifies how some local communities are taking control of their budgets and somehow managing to keep up with current conditions, the current economic conditions, and it really just shows you what people are doing, especially at these board meetings. Story number 3, big story number 4, on the right track. JT Whitehouse has a report explaining how Poland ended 2024 on a positive note. Now, the township ranked in the top 10 of safest communities. Now, Poland's revenue for 2024 came in at $5,448,922.94, with the township spending $4,895,009.17. Now, that's ending the year, and they ended the year in the positive with plans to tighten up their spending. Now, the article is filled with positive information about Poland, but what got the story in is the question of, does Poland have a formula that surrounding communities may be able to follow in these unusual economic times? That's what story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. Winter woes and fires in top headlines. The winter woes continue to spread, especially in the field of safety. This is after a 5-year-old child lost his life in a Sunday morning house fire. Very, very sad story. Now, what got the story in is the fact that stories like these have stayed in top headlines even after firefighters stressed the need for safety around this time of year. Now, 5 of the children escaped the fire. Youngstown's fire chief has continued to warn people against using space heaters as the sole source of heat, folks, thus getting this story into the top 8. Story number 5. Very, very sad story around this time of year. Big. Story number 6. Mixed feelings in Youngstown headed into the next election. After a wild year in 2024 and now more than a couple of homicides and crime stories headed into 2025, Youngstown has mixed feelings headed into the next election. Now, the city is still fighting to improve the schools and create a job base sustainable to create a livable wage. But that's not what got the story in. What got the story in is the fact that the city of Youngstown is filled with land and opportunity. and the cost of living is cheap. And where there is little hope, there is always room for hope. Now, this story is still developing as the citizens of Youngstown get ready to let their voices be heard at the polls. Once again, that's why story number 6 also made it to the top 2 this week. Big story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, if you don't get up this early and you want to catch the show on Mondays, I do upload the show to the website on Mondays. So if you want to check out our YouTube channel or go to the website, you can view the show. The website is on the screen. Story number 7. What is causing homicides in Youngstown? Youngstown's homicide detectives are busy again after a 42-year-old man was killed. Now, this is all in a continued push to decrease violence and rebrand the city. They continue to try to do that, but it's tough. Now, the number one question is what is causing people to take other people's life, and if it can be figured out, what can we do to prevent people from killing other people? Now, each time a person is killed in Youngstown, the city often sees retaliation, which seems to cause more death and more repeated acts of violence, which is just not a good look for any city. Now, I have to say that because killing people who already have it hard is not a way to make anyone else's life easier. And that's pretty much what the story entails, is the fact that people are killing people who already have it hard enough. And then when they kill them, they just make it even worse. Story number 7. Big headline because the family has to suffer. Big. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. Folks, if you do want to contribute to the show, every little bit counts. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio. Folks, I've had to keep every program here alive, sometimes through my own pocket, so every little bit counts when you're in this line of work. Story number 8, Gerard hits a record. Bob Coupland has a report published January 28th explaining how Gerard collected nearly $5.9 million in income taxes in 2024. The report goes on to explain how the record amount helped the general fund end the year with its highest total in history at slightly more than $3.1 million, and $1.4 million of the funds was collected from V&M Star, if you did not know. Now, the total amount in the general fund is the most in Gerard's history. Now, speed camera revenue in 2024 was $1,360,121, with $685,655 going to the general fund. So $340,030 went to the street fund, and $40,803 to the Wellman Theater Fund. Now, with all of the money, the city was able to pay off the cost of the new salt barn at $320,000. Now, thus getting the story into the top 8. So, story number 8 made it to the top this week. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. The Mediator, me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Let there be voices sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the dark that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun as our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, on Groundhog Day, you know, I'm praying and hoping that groundhog, I think if he sees his shadow, I think they talk about, I'm just praying that we can get some heat, hot weather, because I don't want to see, even if I got to go over and hunt him down, take the groundhog out. I want to get some heat. This winter has been beating me up, man. Whew. I've had to walk 1,000 miles. I've had to fix brakes in the under below 7 temperatures, under 7 below. I've had to fix the furnace. That's another almost $1,000. Man, this winter has been brutal. I got stuck in Youngstown, downtown. I'm at the hotel, cuddle up, and the lady at the hotel, she's like, well, thanks for coming, you know, but, you know, I tell her, well, what brings you down here? We don't usually see you. I said, I'm stuck. Couldn't get up the hill. Snow was everywhere. Car, come on, man, come on, get up the hill, god dang it. I'm trying to get home. It's been rough winter. You know, when I was in downtown Youngstown, I saw the Christmas tree. They still had the Christmas tree up. That was probably one of the greatest things I've seen. I'm sitting at the hotel and everybody outside trying to shovel snow, and I look to my right. I say, I seen the Christmas tree. I say, ain't that something? Christmas in January, February, ain't that something beautiful? And that's my story headed into. I just want the groundhog, if he could somehow magically bring some heat. I think if he see a shadow, I think it's supposed to be warm. Or if he don't see a shadow, he's supposed to be warm. So I'm gonna make sure he don't see a shadow. Me and a few other mailmen or some people who got to work outside gonna pull up. Get on the hole down, roundhog. Get in the hole. I made a whole song about it. It's called "Ho Ho Ho to the Groundhog." Ho, 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 to the groundhog. Ho, 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 please make it warm. Ho, 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 to the groundhog. If you can make it warm for me. Woo! Folks, my CD will be coming out this year pretty soon. It's going to be called Sing What You Feel and Talk About What You Like. Let's waste no time, folks. Ho, 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 to the groundhog. Let's get to it. Story number 1. How do you transform the military? The Hill says that Trump has signed 4 new executive orders transforming the military. The new order prevents transgender people from openly serving in the military, and it greenlights the process of developing a missile defense shield to protect. Well, it goes on to say that he signed some other stuff, which greenlights the process of developing a missile defense shield to protect the United States, aka the Iron Dome. And he wants to reinstate service members that voluntarily left or were forced out of the military over COVID-19 vaccination mandates. Now, these are common sense approaches. Now, he also wants to get rid of DEI. He wants to axe the program. That's diversity, equity, I think, and inclusion. Focus story is still developing. That's story number one. Story number two. World economies are now the topic of discussion. Fortune has a report explaining how Germany is stuck in a deep economic crisis, with analysts predicting the longest downturn since 1990. The 1990, I think it was a reunification. That's what they're saying. Now, NBC News has a headline stating that Europe is bracing for the most extreme military scenario in what the article calls a Trump-Putin 2.0. Now, the main concern is Trump's plan to isolate the world while America focuses on America. America first. Now, Fortune also has a piece explaining how the Russian war economy is facing a moment of truth in what appears to be dwindling cash reserves, which raise the odds of a financial crash, according to the report. Now, each of these headlines have the world economies trending in top headlines. Story number two. Story number three. What is the Trump agenda? Politico has a report focusing on the Trump agenda and how it is about to hit a make or break moment. Now, at the moment, it appears evident that Trump plans to push out the illegals and send a message to others not to come illegally to the United States while it also looks like he's going to build up the military while the world crumbles, or it looks like it's crumbling in, and will be in need for American aid. Now, it looks like Trump also sees a win in energy independence with the goal to minimize the federal government. Now, the problem is that in 2024, the federal government spent about $6.9 trillion. That's amounting to about 24% of the national gross domestic product, GDP, according to cbpp.org. Now, this story is still developing. That's why story number three made it. Story number four. Is it that easy to fire government officials? Folks, The Guardian has a report explaining how Trump has fired a senior labor board official, triggering chaos of criticism from unions and paralyzing the position until a replacement is confirmed. Now, some are calling the move illegal and pledge to challenge the move. Now, what got the story in is the fact that her term was due to continue until August of 2028. Now, according to other headlines, Trump's fury seems to be spreading in unconstitutional territory because of certain laws that protect elected officials, especially when it comes to finishing their terms. Folks, this story is still developing. That's why story number four made it this week. Well, folks, our top four international headlines developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top four, so don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator, me, Brian West. I'll be right back. To Method A's YouTube channel to check out the top interviews that made it throughout the years and months. Visit method8inc.com. Check out all the community interviews if you want to check it out. Method8inc.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Oh yeah. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top four international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. We're headed. Well, this is Black History Month, so I have to speak on the subject, and I had to learn that there's always two sides of the story. I had to learn this when I decided to get in a relationship years ago. Speaking of February, Valentine's Day is this month too. So when I was in a relationship years ago, I had to find out there's always two sides of the story. One person is telling one side, another person is telling another side. Now, Black History Month. Yeah, that's what the beauty of this month is that the other side of history they get to finally tell a story about Black history, But what's scary is the fact that if you hear the when you hear both sides, the thing about being in the middle is that it's probably best that you take the time to hear both sides, because sometimes history can look beautiful and roses can look like they're growing in the beauty, but you will often forget that some people may have got cut by the thorns. So this Black History Month, you will learn that there's two sides of the story. There were some people who triumphed, and there were some people who were having a brutal life. Some people, it's scary. But I do hope you take the time this month, Black, to understand, that there's two sides. Because when I was in my relationship, one side was saying it was her fault, and one side was saying it was his fault. Same thing with Black History Month, and when you gotta meet the judge will say, well, are you gonna stay together? Are you gonna love each other? Are you gonna work together? And one person's like, hell no. One person's like, hell no. So it's no different than Black History Month. We live in a country that's got different types of people, and when a judge show up and they be like, well, are y'all gonna work together? Are y'all gonna go on a job without trying to kill each other? One person like, hell no. One person like, hell no. So, with Black History Month, I hope we can learn one thing. And I hope we can learn to live together, because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I do miss cuddle-lugging in the middle of the night. But I am at peace, being single. I made a song about it. Black history and love are one and the same. You can be alone, or you can deal with craziness without peace. So this Black History Month, learn from me. It's two sides of the stories, baby. One side may be filled with love and brutality, and the other side may be filled with love and oppression. Whew! Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to story number 5. There are some questions when it comes to illegal immigration. NBC News has a report explaining how public schools are trying to protect undocumented students from immigration raids after Trump has allowed immigration authorities to conduct raids at schools, with multiple schools vowing not to cooperate. Like I said, there's always two sides of the pillow, two sides of the story. Now, we got the story in is the fact that all children in the United States, according to the Education Department, are entitled to a public education regardless of their immigration status. Now, in Trump's aggressive move, there are a number of questions when it comes to illegal immigration. Now, the story is staying in top headlines in Trump's aggressive stance on immigration. So, story number 5. Story number 6, the high inflation question. Forbes has a headline saying that neither government spending nor Fed printing cause higher prices. The article goes on to say that federal spending is a consequence of its taxing power. Now, in the opinion piece, he explains that if the government lived with less, its citizens would live with more. Now, the article goes on to say that there is no price impact from government spending, simply because governments can only spend insofar as taxpayers so far as the taxpayers that they have left to spend. So they're saying that government can only spend with basically with their tax, what they collect from the taxpayers. If they collect less, they can only spend less. If they collect more, they can spend more, if that makes sense. Now, the main point the article is trying to make is filled with back and forth opinions on what is actually causing inflation, but it is by never really revealing what is causing inflation, if we get it. Now, this story is still developing with so many still unanswered questions when it comes to inflation. Now, one point that was not considered is the fact that maybe inflation is caused when the American dollar leaves the American circulation, thus causing foreign spending to increase and taxpayers to pay more because demand goes up. That means if you're giving your money to the world, then maybe that's probably what's causing inflation, because that's more dollars, but it's not in circulation in America. Story number 6 is a mystery, but it's a big headline, but it's an unsolved mystery. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week for you to keep you informed. Folks, if you do want to check out the show, if you don't get up this early, you can check out the show on the website. I do upload it on Mondays, so if you want to check it out, if you don't have time to get up this, well, if you don't want to get up this early, you can check out the show. I do upload it on Monday morning. So story number 7, chaos continues. The Wall Street Journal has a report explaining how a plane carrying 64 people crashed after colliding with a Black Hawk helicopter near Washington, D.C. at Reagan Airport. Now, this story adds to a number of new developing stories showing emerging chaos within government ranks, folks. This story is still developing. So story number 7, I'll make to the top this week. Big. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that I made this week with one goal: to keep you informed. Folks, if you do want to contribute to the show, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Or you can stop by the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and buy something in the store. See my smiling face. Let's get to this top story. Story number 8. Story number 8, here we go. Under new rule, is the federal government under attack? This is an eye-opening story. Story number 8. Multiple reports have people focused on the actual job of the federal government. Now, current news does. Now, if you did not know that the founding fathers, including prominent figures like George Washington, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton, created the federal government of the United States by drafting and ratifying the U.S. Constitution at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787, with the goal to address the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation by creating a stronger central government. Now, the attempt was to balance order with liberty, with the number one goal of avoiding tyranny. Bang. It's in the founding documents. So the question now is the federal government under attack? And why are some people vowing to cut it if the founding fathers intended it to prevent tyranny and balance things out? This is the question, and this is the bang story at the end of the day, because it really homes in on the idea of America. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I like to thank all the news outlets and journalists and people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories just to keep people informed. If you do want to show some support, it does not take much. Just visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Or you can stop by the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face and maybe tell me your story, talk to me, tell me what you feel, make me feel happy or make me feel blue. Well, folks, I am out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. Happy Groundhog Day. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.